Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to do a video, maybe about two things. If I can do this all in one video, I don't know how long the video it's going to be. But the first part is I haven't done a video in a while for various reasons. Doing more writing and stuff of my. I'm not going to go into detail at this point, but another difficult thing has happened to me this year. With my job and stuff. But I'm not going to go into detail about that at this point. I posted something in the Substack for Joyce about that a little bit, but the year of change, this the half year of change is what it's really come down to. But another really sad thing that happened, just found out is that Raul Malo passed away, the singer of the Mavericks and solo career and everything like that. And I mean, I know he wasn't like a household name exactly, but the biggest reason why I'm talking about him is because he was someone that my wife, Joyce, really liked. Tell briefly the whole deal is she saw him. I should look it up. Look at the date. Maybe I'll add it in. Saw him. I think it was at the Fine Line in Minneapolis, many years back, like sometime in probably the 2000s. I thought maybe it's in the 90s. I think it was in the early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. It was 20, could have been close to 20 years ago. I remember, um, but they were at tables. Joyce and her friend Rhonda were there, and Rhonda fell asleep for his solo act. But Joyce had never seen his band, the Mavericks, and he got more well known for the Mavericks. They had done. I did a review of their concert of his concert, both. I did one, maybe two reviews of his and or the Mavericks in the last couple of years on this channel. Saw him the Mavericks finally for her at the State Theater. I think it was the State Theater. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the State Theater. It might have been one of the other theaters. It might have been Pantages or Orpheum, but I'm almost certain it was the State Theater. The night of her high school reunion, it was her 30-year high school reunion, but she didn't have like a lot of like desire and interest. But she went when her friends were going, some of her good friends, a couple of good friends she had from high school, but a lot of the other people that were high school she didn't have a strong desire to see. But so she ended up ducking out early. I remember I picked her up. It was just down the road from where we live, and we went to the Mavericks show. And it was a really big deal for her. The Mavericks, though, had played at the Minnesota State Fair. Um, I'm trying to remember the exact time. Maybe they played more than once in the time that she knew about them. I know they played. It was free show. They played the Lion Lodge. Lion Lodge stage at the Minnesota State Fair is always free. Your grandstand's not, but the Lion Lodge is free. And the Mavericks played the Lion Lodge, and I want to say it was like 2017, 2018, maybe after we got married. Maybe once during COVID. I'm almost certain it was before COVID. Um, Might have even been 2016. I thought it was after we got married. It was somewhere in that window of like 4, 5, 6 years, somewhere in there. And she was like down about the fact that they played a free show and she didn't go or she wasn't able to go. I forget the reason. I wasn't. Not that I disliked, but it was like I don't know. So we got to see them at the State Theater in 2023, and then Raul Malo came as a solo act in 2024. It was in March of 2024. Then the Mavericks released an album called Moon and Stars later, a few months later. I talked about that a little bit. I mean, musically, the Mavericks music, like the live stuff, a lot of it was like this Afro-Cuban jazz element to with Tex-Mex and Americana and country or country rock, that kind of stuff, that blend, which kind of makes them somewhat of a descendant on Michael Nesmith, especially for her. I mean, Joyce liked like sort of retro rock. She liked Chris Isaac, and she was a fan of Elvis, I guess, at one point. So Americana and maybe rockabilly. I guess they played on a Graham Parsons tribute album and also a tribute to Buddy Holly. So they had like a very retro influence, and they had a couple songs that were in like from Dust Till Dawn and anyway. So that's kind of the style at points that the Mavericks had and Raul had. So he had some form of brain cancer, I guess. He was only 60 years old when he just passed away yesterday or 2 days ago. Um, but I know it like when we saw him. I'm almost sure when we saw him in 24 and maybe even the previous fall in 23, that was in September. She had told me, or like the news, he had it'd been public that he had, or maybe he mentioned it. I know it was right when Jimmy Buffett died that he did it. They did a little, he did a tribute to, he did the Margarita song at that show, the Mavericks show we went to. But I think his illness had been present, not just it. Just one of the stories I read, Variety said it just had come up in 24 that he had been suffering from that. But some reason he had actually been sick earlier than that. But I don't know. I mean, celebrities, and I guess it doesn't come as a complete shock. I feel, at least for Joyce, that at least she did get to see both. She get to see the Mavericks once, but it would have been nice to see him and or the Mavericks again, sort of in her memory. But she saw him obviously a couple times solo at least. I mean, she wasn't like obsessed, but they're on like Austin City Limits, and they had a little bit of crossover appeal. They came out in the late '80s, like right around the time Los Lobos came out too. But anyway, who's this Mavericks band? It's like Joyce doesn't like bands typically, like a few exceptions, but clearly they're like a Cuban element. 'Cause I think his like family was Cuban, but maybe from Miami originally. But there's also like a Tex-Mex kind of like the influence that Nesmith carried. So, R.I.P. Raul. It was great to see you. The album Moon and Stars that came out last year, 2024, was pretty good, psychedelic at points, and um, yeah, Cancer. Just I don't know what to do. Anyway, so to transition to like more uplifting in some ways fashion, I can show some records. One specific record that I got two copies of it. Love it so much. I knew it got issued on vinyl and wanted this to come on vinyl. And then my Black Friday record store day stuff. So the Hours album, Distorted Lullabies, finally being issued on gatefold vinyl, red. It was owned by Interscope, which originally was Geffen or was DreamWorks, who signed Jimmy Necco and the band. This is the debut album that came out in 2001. Many years. They predate Muse. 1993, like originally, but yeah, this is an all-time classic for me. A favorite record that I've listened to probably several hundred times. Uh, Jimmy's Wail Like a Banshee. Oh, Jeff Buckley. No, more like Bono. Uh, but more the Muse thing. But this is I don't know if it's going to lead to being able to release, depending on how well it does. Uh, the two records that have not come out on vinyl that came out after that. Two records. A few of the the self-titled or the one that came out. Anyway, he's been issuing a bunch of vinyl recently. Precious from 2002 next year, and then Mercy, Dancing for the Death of Imaginary Enemy, that record from 2008 would be great to have on vinyl. It'd be a double. But yeah, it's really great. I got a second copy. I love this record so much. Decided to take the plunge with that, and 2001 debut album, first time only on vinyl, 25th anniversary on burgundy and black two-color mixed vinyl, mastered by. Anyway, I wonder if it sounds any better, but I mean, as sometimes maybe their most well-known song, "I'm a Monster," "Fallen Souls," "Drowning." That's kind of like a sweet medication. "Dancing Alone," "Bleed." I mean, "Meet Me in the Tower" is fantastic. I mean, it's melancholy. It's very passionate. It's like everything I've been going through. I've been thinking about some of these songs, but yeah, finally. So, all right, transitioning on to the record store day, Black Friday record store day stuff. I took the plunge, probably spent more money than I should have, but I want to make an exception. I don't know if Joyce probably would have passed on this, but I decided to get this Prince. I thought it would be hard to get, but hard to get maybe because of the price. But Around the World in a Day. I mean, this is. I guess you could say this is as much for myself as for Joyce's memory. I'm trying to open the stupid thing. It's a neat little like 7-inch box set, 7-inch singles box set from Around the World in a Day. Um, even though as much as it was, kind of like the jellyfish thing I've got, or the deer hunters. Well, those are 10 inches, but yeah, it's like so. It has this is raspberry beret. It's in a raspberry color, as you can see. Mama, Joyce would probably appreciate this. It's even got like a stain with some of the artwork and everything. But she's always in my head as the B side, I think. Yeah. Um, when I was going through the Prince catalog a few years ago, not all of it. I've only did like the mostly the '80s stuff, so I didn't finish it. But I did listen to this record, and I know this was like a different record for him. He was trying to be more to like psychedelic pop as opposed to the funk and dance, and even rock music he was doing on the previous records, of course, Purple Rain and was that the one? I think this is the one that followed Purple Rain on the Rolling Days. Is it? Yeah, it was '85, but this was more Beatles influence. But Paisley Park, she always in my hair. Who did I saw was talking about the Paisley Park song? Someone locally, I forget who it was, but this is like it's like a peach or beige. I guess you'd call it more peach. I don't know. She's always no. Okay, so maybe that's the name of it. She's always in my hair is the name of it. But no, that she's always in my hair is the B side on Paisley Park. So maybe that was a B side on more than one of these singles. Um, but Paisley Park the song, which of course Paisley Park is the name of Prince's sort of museum out in the studio. There's the artwork for Raspberry Beret out in Chaska, Minnesota. And here's Pop Life. Joyce once played this on KFI radio. In fact, we do the tribute to her next month. Maybe I'll be playing that. But when we did the local show, if I have that, I think it's that one. B-sides on these yellow. I knew this was kind of neat. I mean, again, it was a pretty penny, but I decided to take the plunge. I don't have a lot of prints, but uh, hello, the song "Hello," I guess. Maybe. Besides Pop Life. Yeah, I mean, kind of funny because Joyce didn't like the Beatles, but she played that on the radio. She wanted to find local music. America, Black and BMW Girl, you know. Um, People have probably showed this, although we don't have nearly as much Black Friday Record Store Day video content as normal. It's a white. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a unique. And I don't know if this is going to be commonplace. You're going to have certain artists just issue their single box sets of the singles from an album. And it could become a trend to be a little pricey because they're never. I mean, when it becomes not so unique, like the artwork they did for this album reminds me of like Where the Wild Things Are. And here's the last one, the tears in your eyes, the tears in your eyes, yeah, which is like there's the hits B-sides version, We Are the World version. Oh, this might have been the thing he was intending to give for the We Are the World sessions, and of course he didn't make that. He was at the Grammys or whatever at that thing, but it's like a clear kind of thing. Yeah. Um, but maybe this was done for that session. It was intended to end up um, on the Around the World in a Day record itself, But anyway, so yeah, the tears in your eyes. Let's see. So yeah, the box showed. So all right. So the other item, I got a few items that were sort of in Joyce's memory. One of them was an obvious. She loved mainly Grooves of the Heart, but Dee-Lite, and this was something that was only issued on import CD previously. This is just a compilation, of theirs. Dee-Lite, the band that The thing is, they only had the one record, and they had the pretty big hit, you know, "Groove is of the Heart," "Groove is in the Heart" rather. But as the sticker, the hype sticker says, where was it? Right here. Uh, no, yeah, no. Jeez, this is it. I can't. Apple Juice, Kissing, and Somebody, and many more were the other like singles on this thing, but it's a double. Well, they were like a mixture of where they were from. I thought some of them were from England, Delight, but Little Lou Vega and Kenny Dope Gonzalez are the main two people that performed, or it was produced by them. Uh, Compiled by Lady Miss Kier, Super DJ Mitri, and you know, so it was like very curated by some fans. But yeah, I couldn't dance with another. Yeah, it came out in 1990, I think it was, that song. Even though I think of it for a little bit later, but Splash Final, it's like reddish, like maroon reddish. This looks more like pink based on the lighting, but oh, and yeah, very psychedelic. That's the thing. It's like when grunge was king, and you know, alternative. This was more of channeling some of the retro, like '60s vibe, kind of like Paisley Park in a way, or Paisley Park, like Run the World in a Day. That this was like 5 years later, but this is like Orange Splash. So yeah, I mean, this was sort of in Joyce's memory. You know, I think it partly the reason why I got this because there wasn't a lot on the list that I really needed. I mean, there was like an ELP thing and Jethro Tull, which seemed to show up frequently, like live things, and so all right. So I can say that I did go with a friend, this person I know through my work, not my work necessarily too much longer, but with that I got the Prince thing at Cheapo in St. Paul before I met up with her. Ended up driving this friend of mine, but then 'cause she was worried that I wasn't gonna be able to find it. Then got together with her. We went up to the Cheapo in Little Canada. You know, we tried to go to Donut Hut, and Donut Hut was not open on Black Friday, unfortunately. I can't remember if I bought anything else. I thought I bought. Maybe not. Maybe I didn't buy anything at Cheapo. I guess not. But I thought I did buy. Maybe I'm missing one record. I think I might be. Hold on. Maybe not. Maybe not. So, or I did something else with it. So I thought I bought one record at Cheapo, but I'm 90% certain about that. The other Cheapo, but maybe it was the Delight. That might have been it. Anyway, so then we went to breakfast after that at um a Colossal Cafe in Como, and then we went to Agarda Records, and I picked up a couple things there. Yeah. I bought. That's right. I bought like two or three records there. One was this John and Vangelis. This is the second John and Vangelis. It's called John Anderson, of course, and Vangelis, who did short stories. Yeah. I don't think this is a gatefold though, but this is. I think this is considered his second proper studio album. So that was part of it. It's like, well, I Love Elias, the first one, but this is like 1979 or 1980. It was probably after he'd done Chariots of Fire. It was 1980. Of course, there was a chance he was going to be the keyboard player for Yes after on like Relayer, but it didn't happen when Rick Wakeman had left. But yeah, I mean, I know my friend John, who's a big massive Yes fan, said there was more than one version of this album, but I've never heard it. So, but it wasn't a ton of money. It was $9. I mean, the condition seems okay. So, I mean, it's not perfect like the case here and everything, but Um, so then I also got, yeah, I just finding some stuff here. This has a lot of stuff. We are just flipping through not too long, but that this is in Joyce's memory also. 1988 Summer Olympics soundtrack. I paid $13 for it. It wasn't nothing, but it has Whitney Houston, the Bee Gees, Eric Carmen, Taylor Dane, um, and I think John Williams, of course. I mean, would Joyce have wanted this? Maybe. Whitney Houston, One Moment in Time, Bee Gees, Shape of Things to Come, Eric Carmen, The Reason to Try. She liked all those people. Taylor Dane, Willpower. It was kind of a somewhat rare compilation. 88 Olympics. Oh, it's actually sealed too, which that actually adds a little bit because it's got the shrink wrap still. Yeah, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have bought this for my normally thinking, but I've come to conclude I'm not giving away all the records I'm buying for her. I'm gonna have like a Joyce section. I have to eventually stop it though, because I'm buying records. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna have to be within budget and sort of the Joyce section. Even though her collection largely needs to go to her friend Michael at some point, but it's still gonna be a long time before a lot of that gets resolved. But yeah, this is brand new. Interesting. This is on Arista. Um, Clive Davis, executive producer. Standard black. But for 1988 records, it's actually pretty reasonable. It's not massively thick, but it's so the Whitney Houston fan in her would want it alone. But so I don't know. I mean, it's record store day, even though it's not record store day in the traditional. It's the Black Friday. Part of the reason is you want to just support the record store, and it wasn't too much. It was a little bit, but making an exception. So, and then I ended up getting this. This is an album that I never bought on vinyl, so I had to take the plunge. And it is used, but you don't see it even used. Pain Cannot Erase from Steven Wilson, which I have most of his catalog on vinyl, not all of it, but I don't know. I don't have the last one. I never got that. I barely listened to it. I listened to it maybe twice. I didn't go to the show. Interesting. Yeah, stuff like this has been hitting home myself. Like uh, routine and happy returns, and talking about the story of the inspiration, the concept behind this record, the inspiration behind it being um, that documentary, Dreams of Life by Joyce Carol Vincent, not my Joyce, but you know, um, I think people love this record. I think the previous record's better overall, but I wouldn't deny that a lot of the moments on here are great, and it was one that I probably need on. It's worth keep having on vinyl in my collection. Talking about the essential. This is just a case scope insert. So this was 10 years ago when it came out, 2015. Remember Joyce, my Joyce, and I saw that documentary, Dreams of a Life, about Joyce Carol Benson, the story of that woman that was found dead in her apartment, and the TV's on all these Christmas presents, and it estimated she'd been like that for a couple of years. But here's the thing. Yeah, okay, it does come with a pretty big insert. I remember, what was it? Um, Fulton, where's his last name? He did a big like visual review of this book and the box set of reviews. I don't know how last time he posted a video. It was several years ago. I think his channel is still up, but it's been a while. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good songs on this record. I think the concept in a small way does sort of where's Steven? Concept, the music takes a little bit of a backseat to the concept, but some people think it's the greatest record of the 21st century, or the greatest thing he's done, or this definitely his best is for solo album. But Perfect Life is kind of weird, meditative, but Home Invasion, Ancestral, that's the 13-minute, 30-second one, but Happy Returns is probably the saddest song. And then the title track sounds like a song from Deadwing or something, but in some ways. I know this album has both Guthrie Govan and Marco Miniman, which the previous record Raven Refused to Sing also did. But anyway, so the last record I'm going to show, and this is it. I thought I'd bought something else, but maybe it was just Dee-Lite from Cheapo. Oh, yeah, this is taped up. I found this just randomly. I think when we were at, did we go to Cheapo? Maybe this was also at Agartha. And I just like grabbed it. And I'm like, what the hell? This is a Jody Whatley album. Jody Whatley, the pop, singer from the '80s. And I really only bought it for one big reason. I don't know if this is the one that has her biggest hits. She had like one or two massive songs, but if you look here, the last song there, I can show it. Learn to Say No, I think it says. Learn to Say No, duet with one George Michael. So, this came out in, was it 87? Yeah. So, I think Jody Whatley was part of a group that she watched a documentary on BET on, like, it was on YouTube, but it was a BET documentary. And then she went solo. I could be wrong, me mistaking her for someone else, but I think it's Lisa and Cult Jam, but I think she was. Jody Whatley was a member of Climax. But then she went solo, and she had a couple of hits, but Some Kind of Lover for the I'm not sure which were the singles on here. It doesn't have like a hype sticker that tells me. I don't know. I know she had a couple hits in the '80s. Yeah, George Michael Appears Courtesy. This came out the same year as Faith, I think. So, and it's just a self-titled album. So, yeah, this is probably the record by David Z. Andre Simone and David Z. People that worked with Prince in the time. So, go figure. Which we kind of gave the whole thing as like why George Michael didn't end up working with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at one point. They might have. But I want to say one of his records or something he did might have been mixed here. But anyway, I don't know. Looking for a New Love. Jeez, I didn't even see that's the song. I'm looking for a new love. But again, the whole reference to her, and produced by one Patrick Leonard. Produced by Bernard Edwards. There's a lot of connections on this record. I'm actually really glad I got it. The thing is, if Joyce got it, or she might have it if I ever get a chance to finally go up there and look through her records, she probably had no idea that Patrick Leonard was involved. Granted, she loved Madonna and everything like that, but the Kevin Gilbert Toy Matinee connection. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff like a Pepe Deluxe album. I haven't heard the new Pachinko from Moron Police, and just a small additional announcement after this 30-minute video. I don't know if I'm going to be doing albums of the year because it just doesn't really add up. I might just post a list, but I stopped listening to most music when Joyce got sick. Really, I listened to the radio, listened to American Top 40 songs here and there, but a lot of the I listened to the Lato and Right album once. I didn't listen to Biffy Clyro, all these records that came out. The Mid-Lake album I didn't listen to. I didn't listen to The Green Carnation. All these albums that came out I didn't listen to, and I think I'm going to, at some point, have to play catch up. And so that's why I kind of feel like it's kind of weird to even do an Albums of the Year list. But, there's a few records this year that I liked, like Squid and some others, but I don't know if it's really in the cards, if it really makes sense. Because music, as I've reiterated before, has been Achilles' heel. It's been really hard for me to listen to music, and it's just the holiday music right now. I'm going to the store, I'm getting grief triggers like really bad, like just severe, like sobbing and thinking about her. Rudolph and Frosty and Plain, and then just thinking about buying stuff, and it's just the way things are, and it's this thing that's a process. Hopefully, will get better for me. Stuff that's coming out next year and everything. I still love music. It's just take one of your favorite things that you do, and it becomes this physical ailment, and then I just have so much other things that are on my plate with this job thing, and that's immediate, and then other stuff for affairs, and um, just yeah, I mean, trying to worry about my car, get my car serviced on Thursday, and just try to live life and manage some of this stuff right now. I'm hoping that down the road here things will be more manageable and a little bit easier. But and in turn, stuff like music. I have been watching some movies and TV. I watched Stranger Things first 4 episodes, and I watched all the episodes of Pluribus. There's like a couple left, 2 or 3 left. Maybe I'll try to do a review of that. The new Vince Gilligan Ray Seahorn show. That's on Apple TV. Yeah, and like the health of people, that's family members and friends. That's the other thing that's been really difficult. Just you put things in perspective about you love music, I love entertainment and music. I mean, watching the Timberwolves and stuff helps, but life is just it hits you hard, and like my local grocery store, I guess it's closing. It's changed names for decades. It was a few different names. It was Apple Bombs at one point, and RC Dicks. This is just in the St. Paul area, in the West St. Paul area, and now it's known as Oxendale, and it's closing, I guess. Prices and the inventory were kind of questionable, but we would go there and get ice for her because our ice machine wasn't working in our refrigerator, and get newspapers there for the kiddies when I was using newspapers, and just like go get a bell pepper, go get salad, go get cornbread. There's things I'm going to miss about it. The hope is maybe another store will open up, like a Trader Joe's or a local grocery store, like Kowalski's or something. But when it rains, it pours. Raul Malo and grocery store. We had one down in 7th Street when we were living near there called Cooper's. Um, that's no more. It's a different, it's an Asian grocery store now, Fiang Chan or something. But I don't know. Things change. It's the nature of the way things happen. It just so happens a lot of things are changing in a short window of time, and I just hope things will settle down. But it just hasn't. I don't know. But thank you for watching though, and we'll see you next time.